Alright, so first of all, what is a TILOS and why and how does traditional CPM meet the linear scheduling? Before that, let me give you just short information about the product and about the company. The TILOS is a German product that's been founded in 1991 in Germany. It's been founded by the request of the huge construction company. The company, it was a private company named by the Linear project. However, in the end of the 2015, it was acquired by the Trimble. So during these years, TILOS is available in 9 languages, and we could achieve the top European construction companies in order to use this solution. So here we have the list of the, of course, not 200 largest construction companies, but I can see that we have here the 23 construction companies who are using, most of them using the TILOS for their linear scheduling, such as Skanska, FCC, FH, Strabag, Vinci, Bogas, Bechtel, and so on. Besides that, we have the Europe and the Middle East customer map. If you can see, we have a lot of people from the Europe, a lot of companies in Europe who are using the TILOS for their projects. Also, if you pay attention, we have a lot of clients in Saudi Arabia, Oman, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, and so on. Moreover, we have the Asia customer map. As I can see, we have a lot of attendees from India. You have to pay attention that it's also widely used in India by such companies as Ircon, SR, Siemens, Larsen, and so on, right? So what is the characteristics of the linear project? Well, the first main characteristic is that all the activities, all the works are performed on the right of way. So we have the one axis where all our work should be performed. We can observe them on such a project such as pipeline, railway, highway, tunnel, engineering, transmission, and also the high-rise building projects. So one of the main things that we have to take care is that we have repetitive works which are going all along the length of the project, and what will be our benefit of using the TILOS is that it will help you to give the exact quantities and optimize the productivity rates. So moreover, you'll be able to see your crew movement and also avoid the clashes, and it will help you as well by reducing the project duration and overall cost. So always the people asking me in which stage or in which project stage we can implement the TILOS. So my answer is on every stage there is a possibility to use the TILOS, whether it will be in the feasibility studies, the overall plan, the production plan, or the special studies. It can be used for the pre-designing, planning, procurement, exhibition, and even for the claim analysis. So it can be used by the owner, engineering companies, the constructor, subcontractors, the general contractor. It doesn't matter. Everyone can use the TILOS for their purposes. Okay. So here we have some examples to which industry we could implement the TILOS. You can see here we have the transmission line project. This is the real project. We would like to show the real project that it's not only as a visually, but the companies actually using the TILOS for their needs. So the pipeline project where we had the weather risk, okay, we could estimate the weather risk. Highway, road and bridges project, the high-rise building project where we applied the TILOS for the line of balance. The railway project, as you can see, we have the railway projects, a lot of them, metro and tunnel projects. So the main difference between the TILOS over the CPM tool is that you can combine your schedule with the information of the project. What I mean is that when you have your traditional CPM, which is based on the one axis, which is the time axis, you can have the TILOS as a distance axis and the time axis, and also you are able to see where you have the information about the project, so such as whether it will be a river crossing, or will be a tunnel, or everything. Whatever you have on the project information, the project itself can be connected to the project plan. Moreover, instead of having the 40 or 50 pages report as a traditional CPM tool provides us, you can have everything in one single page. So you can print it in an A0 or any format which you would like to see, and you will be able to follow up with your activities, with the progress, and with your crew movement. So let me explain you in detail what is the difference between the traditional CPM tool, where we use only the Gantt chart, which we are able to observe it in a B6 MS project or Astapower project, where we have only one axis, which is the time. Okay, and all our work, all our activities are going according to this. However, the TILOS provides us the two-dimensional change, which means we have the distance horizontally and the time axis vertical. It can be changed vice versa if you'll be using it for the high-rise building project. So you will have the floors as a vertically and the time horizontally. But usually on a linear project we use the distance as a horizontally and the time as a vertically. There is a possibility to set up the sectors or the districts, so it's up to you how you would like to define it. Now, this is the main part in order for you to be able to understand how the TILOS works, and during the live demonstration you can easily follow me up about what am I talking in. So now, assume we have the 4-kilometer project. It can be the railway project, it can be the pipeline project, it can be the road project. So we have divided for each kilometer. Okay, we have the first, second, third, and fourth. Moreover, it's been divided for each 100 meters. You can divide it in each 10 meters, each 50 meters, or each 500 meters. So it's up to you, up to your wishes, how you would like to divide it. Moreover, the time axis can be easily modified. You can show the year, the week numbers, the days, the months information, or combine everything in one. Okay, so we can assume that we have the 3 months in order to complete the 4-kilometer of the, let's say, road project. Moreover, the TILOS gives us availability to connect the project data, which I was mentioning before, such as the visualization of the project. First, it is a symbolic representation of the project. Let's say this is our main road, and we have the first intersection, the second intersection, and the culvert or the bridge. If you pay attention above, we have the elevation profile. Okay, the elevation profile, which describes us information about our land level, the current land level, and assumed road level or the rail level. So, okay. So this is not just a picture. Actually, it has a data background. I will be showing the next why I mentioned that. So now I'm assuming that I'm starting my first activity. My work is the topsoil stripping, and I'm starting from the left side of the river, which is I'm starting from 2,600 meters, and I'm going all the way until the beginning of the project. And I can say that this activity will take me the 3 weeks. Okay, so by this way you'll be able to answer the questions from where and when our activity is going to end. For instance, the first question, from where or where exactly our team is or where we will be, it can be answered very easily. For instance, I can say that, okay, tell me please when we will reach our first intersection. All right, so I'm just looking where is my first intersection. It is on 1,200 meters, and I'm going down, and I can see that, okay, we will reach our first intersection at the end of the second week. By this way, you can easily answer where and when will be our team, or what will be our progress information. Okay, all right, so I'm going next, and let's say my first activity starts from 2,600 meters and we ended up at the beginning of the project. Then we moved our crew. So you see the crew movement is very important in this case. You are able to follow up your crew, and you can see that my second part of the topsoil stripping is starting from the left side, from the right side of the river, and we are starting from 2,800 meters. It will take us only 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks even, to complete our first topsoil stripping activity. Beside the linear activity, we can say that the TILOS is able to have the engineering objects. What we can say that there is assuming we have a bridge, you can show it as a summary task or the WBS, or you can give the more detailed information inside. Okay, it's up to you how you would like to plan. Now we're going to the next activities, and you see there is a difference between the topsoil stripping and between the cutting or excavation activity. Okay, so if we pay attention on excavation activity, we have 2 breakpoints. So you'll ask why we have 2 breakpoints. Well, the answer is very simple. I was mentioning on my before just a few minutes ago that I have my elevation profile above. So this is not just a picture. That is actually the background, which is followed up with the data. And we are taking the information about the quantity, about the volume to be excavated from our profile data. So according to this, you will have the detailed information about the duration of your activity. So let's say from 1,700 meters until the first intersection, we will have only a few days to be excavated, which means you can see here we have a really low volume to be excavated. However, from the first intersection, let's say until the 500 meters, we have much more to be excavated. That's why our activity, the duration of our activity, will take over 1 month. And the rest we have also less than a week. So this information will provide you, once you can combine your profile information about the volume of the amount or the volume that should be excavated or filled, you'll be able to connect it with the task or activity in order to achieve exact duration of the task. So now, if we go back, if we go next to the embankment or the filling activity, what we have here? We have here the triangle. The tiles give us the possibility to have a different display view, whether it will be the triangle, rectangle, the line, it's up to you. But in this case, we have put it the triangle. Why? Because we cannot perform any activity until we finish our embankment. So it means that we block this area. Okay, we block this area. We cannot perform any work. So first we have to finish our filling or embankment, and then we'll be able to plan. And it goes to the grading and the stabilization, for instance. Another example how the TILOS works. Let's say we have our project. This is 100 kilometer of the project. We have our time axis, and right on the middle we have the rectangle. So what does it mean, the rectangle? For instance, in my case, I could assume that this is the bird migration area. So during this distance and during these months, during this time period, we have a bird migration. We cannot perform any work during this time. All right. So Assume we have the first subcontractors. If we are working with multiple subcontractors, we have to have their action plan. Okay, so our first subcontractor wanted to start at the end of the first week of March. So you can say that, okay, he started the work, and you can assume that he's going to reach the restricted area. Okay, he is going to reach a restricted area at the second or the third week of the April. So what you can do in this case, you can stop the work. You can stop the work over here right before you reach the area, restricted area, or you can postpone your activity to 1 week later. By this way, you will be able to see that you can easily pass the restricted area without stopping any works. Okay, so now the second subcontractor which we have, of course, it has a different work rate. Before this, please pay attention on traditional Gantt chart. So the task 1, assume this is a subcontractor 1, and task 2, assume that this is the subcontractor 2. And you can say that the first subcontractor is starting at the end at the second week of the March, and is going to the end of the May. And our second subcontractor is starting in the April and going to finish his work at the end of the first week of June. So you can see that there is no clash. Everything is fine. They're starting in a different time and they're going to finish in a different time. However, if we pay attention on time distance schedule, we can see that there is a clash over here. So the first subcontractor is going to perform our work much faster. So what we can do in this case? Okay, of course you can give the time lag, but the time lag is not always correct. Of course you can calculate it and assume what is the time lag will be, but the TILOS gives you the ability to have the distance lag. It means that, please pay attention, we have just put it the distance lag, which is 2 kilometers. It means that these two subcontractors cannot work closer than 2 kilometers. By this way, you will be able to have exact time lag when my second subcontractor should start, in order not to have a clash with my first subcontractor. I hope this is clear. And we are going next. So the planning, the creating of activity in TILOS is very easy. We are using the task templates. For instance, here you can see on my screenshot that I have my task templates. You can modify as you want. Then there is a possibility to see the task as a time distance schedule or in a traditional Gantt chart as well. Once you create tasks on your time schedule, it automatically creates on a different view, which is in the Gantt chart. Also, there is a possible to integrate the system, the TILOS, with the other project management system. So if you are working with Primavera or MS Project or Asta Power Project, you can easily import and export data between these two tools. Now, the calculation of the task, of course, various options are available, whether you would like to calculate the work rate, whether you'd like to calculate the duration or the quantity. If you pay attention, I have my task, okay, and I have the annotation information. So what is the name of my task, what is my productivity rate, what is the quantity of it, and you can also define the information regarding the distance, okay. So it is possible everything to display in TILOS. Now, if we are moving to the scheduling topic, so the TILOS supports all possible CPM logic. Okay, so all linking types are possible. Moreover, there is additional few possibilities in order to link the activities, such as I was mentioning the distance lags. Okay, so there is also possible. Okay, so The critical path analysis also supported in TILOS, so you can have it in a Gantt chart, for instance. Like you see, the red highlighted bar is our critical activities, and it's also possible to display them in a time distance schedule. Of course, as a traditional CPM, the TILOS as well has a resource and the cost planning, such as there is a possibility to create a permanent resource or consumable resource, such as materials, or permanent resource such as labor or machines or equipment. However, there is also possibility to have the composite resource, I mean the mixed resource. For instance, you might have the one subcontractor and you would like to show, or one team, for instance, this is my Shavkat's team, and I have one excavator, or one assistant, one foreman, or grader and finisher. So you can have the multiple resources as a one team. Very easy allocation of the resource, and very different models of the allocation. So you can see here below there is a possibility to have a model of the allocation by the number, by the hours, by the quantity, units, and also there is a possibility to have a multiple accounts. The cost accounts, whether it will be the labor cost, the machine cost, the material cost, which will help you really a lot in order to manage your project. Also, there is a possibility to show the income. So once we have our cost information and income, we can easily show our cash flow. Okay, the analysis. So how we can analyze our project, or how we can get the information about our task or activity is very easy. You can have it on an Excel base, such as on a task list. You will have the list and the columns of the values and everything about information about your task. However, it is also possible to show on a time distance diagram. For instance, I have my task and I have the information about it right on displayed on my time distance area, such as the name of my activity, the quantity information, the work rate, what is my cost, what is my cost per unit, the income and the layer hours, and also the resource information. Okay, it is possible to show it. Besides that, there are multiple availabilities to show the information about my resources and the cost as a diagrams. So if you pay attention, on my right side I have the information about my resources, how many resources in which month and in which week I am able or I will be using. Okay, or there is a possibility to have the S-curves. For instance, I have here the information, my labor, okay, the labor cost, machine cost, the other, and we can also show my total cost and total income. There is a possibility to give the S-curve as well. Multiple baseline available in TILOS. So assuming that I have my task, so you can understand it right now. So I have my clearing activity, which is starting from the 3rd kilometer and going until the beginning of the project, and my data date. So what is my data date or report date? Is the first week of January. Okay, I'm entering the progress. The progress, as you can see, has been entered to from the 3rd kilometer until the 2nd kilometer, and I have it highlighted as a green. You can change the display and you can put any different view, let's say, to your task which been progressed, and the rest of activity which were not been progressed has been just moved after my data date. I'm going to the next data date, the 1 week later, and you can see the rest of activities has been progressed, all right, and the part of the engineering object as well has been progressed. Moreover, to have there is a possibility to show my baseline information. So by this way, you will be able to easily analyze what was my planet, and what is my actual information. So you can see my plan was that I supposed to start my clearing activity at the beginning of the January. However, it's been delayed for the 2 weeks, or the 2 days in this case. Okay, for the project controlling, I know that many people are using the Excel, but besides that they are using the traditional time schedule and also the Excel for the time distance location. But it takes really a lot of time when you update the project. So you can easily export your information about the project to the Excel. So you will be able to see it as in my screenshot. Moreover, the dashboard reporting is also possible in TILOS, which means you will have the information about your main activity or any activity which you want, or the total information about the progress or the quantity. As you can see in my cases, we have the planned percentage and the actual percentage progress. I have the information about my different activities over here, and more detailed information such as what is my actual and what was my planned, the actual quantity remaining, the planned work rate, and what is my actual work rate. It's also possible to display, and TILOS give it automatically. The S-curve information, as I was mentioning, that there is a possibility to have the S-curve for the cost for the resources, but it's also possible to have the S-curve by the percentage base. So you can see my data date is the first week, at the end of the first week of April, and I have planned 11%. However, I achieved 3%. Okay. So now, which is a bit new for those who are working usually on a traditional CPM, they got used that they have only one axis, which is the time, and this is the Gantt chart. So if you pay attention, we have a standard normal Gantt chart, but if we pay attention, instead of the time axis, we have our distance axis. So our distance axis, the kilometer information, and where is my progress tasks. Okay. So by this information, we'll be able to follow up where we did our works. TILOS has a great visualization options, such as we are able to integrate with the Google Earth. First, we're able to take the screenshots and directly input it to our schedule. So by this way, you'll have the information that, okay, here I have my intersection and this is my intersection. And for instance, here I have my stations. So there is a possibility to see exactly where it is, in which kilometer. The progress monitoring on the Google Earth, this is the feature which add-on called TILOS Progress Map give us availability to monitor our progress of the project on the Google Earth. Assuming that we have our project, so this is our project, and this is our schedule. This is our schedule which we have in TILOS. I have displayed here the main activities, so it can be the earthworks, for instance, the slim lines, it can be the earthworks and the track works, then the HT lines if you're working on the railway project, and so on. But you can also show in a more detailed if you would like. Assuming that on Monday, 22nd of April, the highlighted part is the part where is our or where our progress has been done. So this is the place where we did our actual works. You see, we're able to see where is it and how much we still have, the remaining part. Now on my second data date, let's say the one week later, we are able to see our crew movement or the progress information movement. So I'll go back and show once again. Okay, you see, our crew has moved, or our progress information moved. Before we were working here, but now we are working right over here. It is possible to show in a cumulative way. So if you have two teams starting from the beginning and the end of the project, you are able to monitor the progress information your project as well. Some of the additional reports which gives us the information in order to control our project, such as the resource information. So we are able to display the resources. Okay, for instance, we have a machine operators, specialist, caterpillar, so excavators, trucks, and so on. So they are based on the time axis, but also it is possible to show on the display them or to show them on distance axis. The information about the labor hours, the total machine hours, the cost and income information. We can display or calculate what is our labor cost, the material cost, the machine cost, other costs, and if we have an income as well to input the income information. So also the cash flow diagram. So this is all about the resources. However, there is also possibility to show the quantity information. So we can have the planned quantity, what is the actual quantity, and also what is the remaining quantity. Okay. So now I was speaking before about the Gantt chart. However, this is more detailed Gantt chart, but not on the time axis, but on a distance axis. So you know the where and when you will be able to perform this activity or your planned information. This is a sample project of the elevated project. For instance, we have our activities. Okay, so we have our activities and we have our girders. We have the information about the name of the activity, so you don't need to always put here the annotation and show that, okay, this is my preparation work or this is my pile drive or the footing, but it is also possible in a separate as a legend. Okay, so what we can observe from this case and what we can easily analyze it, that we all information, this is our data date, the blue line, this is our data date, and all activities which are above, these are performed activities. So this is the hashtag, this is our performed activities. So we can say that on this station or this pile is preparation, the pile drive activity has been done, and the footing is completed. So we have still pier and pier cap, so on. Okay, this is an example of the high-rise building where we use TILOS as for the line of balance. We have the floor information below as a vertical and the time axis as a horizontal, and this is all our activities. The TILOS is being used for the tunnel project, so you are able to define the soil classification. So if you have, for instance, from 75 meters until the 150, you will have a different, for instance, the work rate per day or per distance. Okay, so you will be able to have exact duration of your activities. Weather mitigating risk. So as I was mentioning before, this is the real project. This project is divided into two parts because we have during this time and during this area we have a strong rainfall, so we cannot work here. So we are working during the summertime only, not even the summer, starting from the May until the November. Okay. I was mentioning before that the TILOS has a possibility of integrating with the other CPM tool, also with the Excel or just copy by the clipboard. We are using, for this exchange, we are using the XML file format, so you can easily, if you have your project in MS Project or Asta Power Project or Primavera, you are able easily to exchange the data between the TILOS. So later on I will be showing how you can exchange the data between the Primavera. So in this case you have to, in the CPM we don't have the information about the distance. So what we have to do, we have to give the information such as the start location and the end location of our activity. So once you will have this information, you can easily transfer this data to TILOS. Some of the projects, I will be showing some of the projects where the TILOS is being used. This is mainly for the railway project. Unfortunately, I cannot show most of them because we have a non-disclosure agreement. However, here is some samples. This is a Citroën project in Copenhagen. Okay, this is a 15-kilometer project. You can see the TILOS schedule on the left side. The Warsaw Metro line. Okay, so we have our schedule. On the left side, we have our stations and our linear works. Riyadh King Abdullah Financial District Monorail project. You can see that we have our time schedule on the left side. This is a real project where the TILOS has been used. The CTW 110, the NorthSouth Railway project, which has a length of 83 kilometers. So you can easily see that we have our elevation profile, where our engineering objects are, and our linear activities as well. Of course, it might look a bit masked, however, it's not. You can have the separate view for the different type of activity, or only for the engineering structures, or for the excavation, or for the track works. Okay, the California high-speed rail. So this is the huge project which has a length of 805 kilometers. So it's been used by the Parsons. The TILOS has been used by the Parsons. If you have any question regarding the presentation, please ask. If not, I'll be moving to the live demonstration. Okay. Okay, so for the presentation part, there is no question, so I can move to the live demonstration. All right. So what I have here, I have my TILOS. This is the standard view of the TILOS. You can see that on the left side, I have my TILOS Explorer. As a TILOS is a file-based system, all the information regarding the project, regarding the data, is stored in the one file in the TILOS library. So you can see I have here my task list, I have here my Gantt chart view, and I have here my task library. It can be the resource library. I have multiple resources. The TILOS is using the template as the other different CPM tools, so that the template, once you create your template, you can use it later on. For instance, template can be loaded by the resource information, by the cost information, or by the task information. Okay, so let me first show you how you can easily create your task. Before this, I would like to easily explain you that what we can see over here. This is our main area where we will have our information about the project and also about our tasks. So assume you have the white paper in front of you and you would like to draw your activity. Okay, so I'll be drawing my activity. I will start with my earthworks, with the topsoil stripping, and I'm drawing my activity. I would like to draw starting from the 9th kilometer until the 1st kilometer. So you see, I just easily draw my activity. But this is not only the drawing, but this is the activity has a project management background. So you have multiple options in order to calculate it. Whether you have, for instance, calculate the work rate. So I'll give the quantity. For instance, it is 20,000. I'll have its cubic meters. So you can see that in order for me to complete the 20,000 cubic meters in 35 days, what should be my work rate? Okay, so here is my work rate, 71.42 cubic meters per hour. I can ask, okay, the 35 is too much for me, 35 days, how I can shorten it? So I can say that, okay, I would like to finish my activity in 20 days. So TILOS automatically calculates what is my planned work rate. So right now it is 125 cubic meters per hour. I'm able to calculate the duration. For instance, I have my quantity and I can change the information about the work rate. So if I'll have, for instance, the work rate 100 cubic meters per hour, what will be my duration? TILOS automatically can calculate that my duration is 25 days. Moreover, you don't need to go to more on the details part, on the properties part. You can observe it easily right on the top where we have the information about the time, about the duration, and about the distance. So, one scenario, assuming that we have to divide these activities. When you are using this in the CPM, would you like to divide one activity in the CPM, which is the quantity loaded, you have to manually calculate everything. So, but the TILOS can automatically do it for you. For instance, right now, I would like to divide my activity on the 6 kilometers. Okay, so I'm going and easily splitting my task by the distance of the 6,000 meter. So now please pay attention that right now I have two tasks. Okay, I have two tasks, and the quantity information has been automatically divided. So none of the CPM tools can give you this option of automatically dividing the quantity. So this is the one example. Another example regarding the clashes, for instance, let me just move right a bit above the second activity, and I will consider this for the clash as well, my second class. The TILOS has an option which called the run clash detection object. I'm just clashing and it says there is no clash. Very interesting. Let me just make it a bit over here, and now I will calculate the work rate. Okay, so please see, I just ran my clash and the TILOS give us a report that okay, we have the clash detected. My activity name with what I have a clash, the information about the time and the distance, and of course the more details such as ID of the activity. So you see, when you are planning on the CPM, you'll not be able to see any clash. As an example, I can show you the same is my Gantt chart. Okay. No. Let me just show my Gantt chart. And my activity. So I have my end date under 2010, but right now I'm in 2013. Okay. Just a second. I would like to show my view range is starting from 2009. 2009. So here is my activities, and you can see it has a different start date and end date, but we are not able to see any clash of it. But when we go to the time distance diagram, we can easily see that there is a clash on these activities. All right. Okay. So I'll show you the example of the project. This is a sample project. What we have here. This is how my project look like. Okay, this is how my project look like. Above I have my profile information, the information about the cutting and filling, the every 250 meters. So you can see the amount, the volume to be cutted every 250 meters. About that should be filled also. Or between the sections, there is a possibility to show the amount between the sections. Brunner diagram, possible to show the symbolic representation of my project, and the information in itself, the project activities. So you can see during this time period we have the holiday. This is, if I'm not mistaken, yes, this is the December. So in Europe we have the Christmas holiday, so that's why we cannot work during this time. For instance, it can be easily observed on this soil removal activity. So you can see we started our work in the second week of December, and 1 week passed, we stopped our work, and later we started right on the next year. So this is the information about the tasks. I can show you, I was mentioning about some reporting options such as the quantity. Okay, so I can display the quantity information about my stripping, the pipe, trench, and so on. So it can be for the subgrade, the sub-ballast, the excavation, or for the embankment as well. The information about the resources, okay, in which activity and when they are being used. The working hours, the labor hours, the machine hours, this is per month. The working days as well, the machine days. The cost information, the labor cost, what is my machine cost, the material cost, if I have other cost as well, and as well the cash flow diagram with the S-curve. So all this information can be editable. As I said, you imagine that you have a paper right in front of you and you would like to change any information. There is a possible to change. Here what I have is the cost, income, and another income, and also the balance. So this is the reports according to the time axis, but below I have the information reports on my distance axis. So what I have my district names, I have district kilometer information, the resources, okay, the labor hours. This is all information according to the distance. So we know that starting from the first kilometer until the 500 meters, that I have 457 labor hours. And also possible to show the cost information. Okay, this is the sample project. Right now I would like to show you the visualization on the Google Earth, how we can observe and monitor our progress using the Google Earth. For the Google Earth integration, we use the TILOS progress map. This is the add-on for the TILOS. I will just open the project in this case. Okay. So what I have here, I have the information. So what you need in order to integrate it, you need to have the KMZ data. So most of you all run your project, you have your KMZ data and the scheduled data in TILOS. You can show the information about the tasks. So you have, for instance, here we have the engineering object, and here we have our main activities, okay? And also the information, more detailed information about the start and about the distance, about the duration, length, the quantity, so on. So how we can actually load it to the program, to the Google Earth, in order to see what is our current status of the project. I'm loading right now my Google Earth. All right, so it's moving, still loading. So now, as you can see, I have this blue line. Blue line is my right of way, my chainage of my work, of my project, and highlighted part, and this slim lines and the highlighted bars define that slim lines is the activities which should be still be performed. However, the highlighted part, we are able to see that this already been done. If I will run the simulation, it will give you the information about the planned percentage and the performed percentage. So as my time is moving, you see my time is moving right above, you are able to monitor the progress information of my works. So here we have the structural information, structural engineering object, and you can see that we had the before it 87% and now it is 100. Now I'll just move it a bit forward. and you can see that we almost done our project. Or what if I would like to see what will be my status, or what is the status when I would like to see the exact date. Okay, if we have the milestone in order to complete some part of the project, you can easily observe, like I have a milestone 23rd of April, and you will be able to see that where exactly I performed my works. Okay, and in this case, for instance, please pay attention on Neckar, and we have a river crossing over here, and it's 61%. Okay, all right. So this is about the TILOS progress map. I would like to switch on the integration between the traditional CPM and the TILOS, how we can actually integrate these two tools. All right. Okay. So let me just go and open one project. I will open right now the Primavera, so you'll be able to see the project before on the CPM and then in TILOS. Okay, it's still loading. Close this. Okay, so let me open some project. Okay, so what we have, I have here the simple metro or railway project, let's say. Okay, so what information should we include in CPM is the information regarding the distance. So in each activity you have to give the distance between the where our activity is starting and where it's going to be finished. So once I have this information, okay, in all activities, I can easily transfer this to my TILOS project. What I have to do is I'm getting the export, and I'm using the Primavera P6 XML format. So I can just export it. However, I will not take your time. I have already exported this project as XML. Now I'm going to open my project template in TILOS. I'll delete this activity. So right now you can see that I don't have any task on my TILOS. Okay, I don't have any task. I have the information about my profile. I have information about my stations, the kilometers, the sections. Okay, everything I have already prepared. So this is a template which you need to prepare before you plan. What I will be doing, I will be just easily importing this XML which I took from Primavera. Okay, so I'll go and I will take this XML. I'm clicking next. So here the important part is which information you would like to import. So whether you would like to import only the WBS data, the categories, the links, the import, the resource. If your project is a resource loaded, you can easily import it, the cost information. But in additional field mapping, we have the information about the start distance and end distance. So I'm using the information from the TILOS in order to map with the Primavera. Okay, so in Primavera I have a distance start and distance end. So I need to map this to information on my TILOS project. So once I click finish, the TILOS has automatically imported your project. All your activities right now is important. So you can see where is my station, which works are going to be done, okay, and the sequence of our activities. So how it's better to see your project in the project itself, whether in a time distance schedule or in the Primavera, it's up to you. You can use both tools. For instance, you can use the TILOS, you can use the Primavera as a main. If you've been contracted to use the Primavera, you can use it in the Primavera, but for your own reporting to the management, you can use the TILOS, for instance. So once you have imported the TILOS, here you have the information about the all activities in traditional in a time distance diagram, you can see it in a Gantt chart. Okay, so you have the all activities right below in the Gantt chart, or you can see it as a normal task list. So you can use the filter. For instance, there is a multiple filter options. You can use filter. You can filter your own activities. For instance, I have just filtered the platform one. So this is my filtered activity. Or you cannot use the same way. You can use the filter in order to display only the engineering objects or only linear objects. Another example which I would like to show you, this is the progress. So if we were going to work with the multiple subcontractors, you can easily use this example for the claim. So the TILOS will help you for the claim analysis. Let's assume we have some work which should be done. For instance, the 500,000 cubic meters of the excavation, okay? And we planned our productivity rate is 520 cubic meters per day. So what we can do in this case? The first, when we plan our work, we can assume that we have from the November until the March, we have our winter period, so our productivity rate will go down. So what we can do in this case is we can plan our work according to the weather. So you see, I'm planning my work and I'm going with the same productivity rate as I baselined. But when we enter the winter period, my productivity rate changes. So you see, when I just entered to my winter period, my productivity rate changed from 500 cubic meters per day to 420. So when I will finish my work, I can assume that I will be delayed for the 2 or 2.5 months. So what we can do in this case in order to prevent it, we can plan our work with the information of the recovery. For instance, I can increase my work rate at the beginning of before we reach the winter period. So you see, let me just make it more visible for you. My productivity rate right until I reach the winter period is 600 cubic meters per day. So I know that I will drop down when I will reach the winter period. So you see my productivity rate is going to drop. However, when I will reach the end, I can see that because of that I have increased my productivity rate at the beginning, I drop down on the winter period and I can easily catch my baseline. So you can perform here the what if analysis as well. Okay, another example with the progress. So let's say I have still the same task, the same productivity information, same quantity information. And now I will be entering the progress. So what we need to do is first I will take my baseline. So unlimited number of the baseline can be created. So please pay attention. If I will just show you that this is my baseline task. The black line is my baseline task. And now right now I'm entering the progress. It can be the subcontractor, for instance. Assume this task as a subcontractor. They have a work to be done. And I'm entering the progress. So I will enter the progress. So until my data date, which is right over here, the orange line, this is my data date. The subcontractor supposed to reach 755 meters. But my actual information that I received is that my subcontractor reached only 500 meters. I'm pressing OK and I'll rescheduling it. You can see that, okay, the crossed part is my progress part, and you can assume that, okay, my subcontractor, instead of working 520 cubic meters per day, they only work 340 cubic meters per day. Okay, so by this information, the planet can be changed, which means is if my subcontractor will return to the planet work rate as we had 520 cubic meters per day, we will finish our work with a delay of 2 months. So what we can do in this case, we can have a different scenarios. In this case is that, for instance, okay, we are assuming that, all right, my subcontractors will not increase our productivity rate, and they will still be working with the same 340 cubic meters per day. So what will be the expected end date? So I can easily, by clicking one button, I can see that the line has been changed right now, and if my subcontractor will be working with 340 cubic meters per day, my expected end date will be right over here. Right over here. So you can see this is 2014. We're supposed to finish it at the end of the summer 2014. However, if my subcontractor will not increase their productivity rate, we'll finish it in 2015 in May. So the 6 months delay. So this is not acceptable at all. What we can do in this case? In this case, we can tell our subcontractor, okay, you have to increase your work rate in order to reach the baseline end date. So the subcontractor will ask, okay, for how much we should increase, or okay, we will increase, but at the end they will not increase. But you can say that, all right, you have to increase your work rate to 630 cubic meters per day in order to reach the planet end date. Okay, is it clear? So you see, by the options such as calculate expected and recovery line, you'll be able to control your subcontractor. Okay, so another example which I would like really show you is that this is the example of the railway project. So we have here our standard, the WBS structure. If we will go to the master view, you will be able to see, just a second, it's still loading. This is my railway project, 800 kilometers railway project. I have the information about my sections, about the engineering objects, about the tasks, and also about the linear activities. Okay, so what we can do in this case is we can have the dashboard. So I'll show you the dashboard reporting. So how we can actually control our work. Assume that we have our work. This is our excavation. We have 4 main activities which we need to track. Information such as first excavation, the embankment, subgrade, and sub-ballast. Later on, you can add the track works as well. If you have some high voltage, of course, you'll have the high voltage information. So you have the quantity, the actual quantity, the remaining, the information about where it's been done in which sections. So you can see that the beginning of the section 1 is still not progressed, so we did not perform any works over here. However, starting from the middle of the first section, we have performed our activities. The information about the excavation, you have the information about the progress, actual, the planet, the quantity, planet, the actual, and the remaining, and also the work rate. So these are the possibilities to create in TILOS, such as dashboard reporting. The multiple views also available, so you can add any view if you want by the easily, and you can change it, for instance, to the graphic cell and input any information such as the oily object, for instance. What I mean, if you would like to input some drawings, it is also possible, or if you'd like to input some Acrobat file, it is also possible, and so on. Alright, do you have any questions? Because I've just been notified that I'm exceeding my available time. Moreover, before this, until you type the question, let me show you some of the samples of the railway project which we did actually. So this is the Union Railway project. You can see we have our activities, the linear activities, and also the structural activities. Okay, so all these are been planned in TILOS, and this is the report, how it looks like, with the information about the legend. Well, it's a simple project. I'll show you the red line. This is a project in Qatar. We have the information about the profile, we have the information about the stations and our works itself. So you can see they wanted to see each activity, what is the name of activity, what is the start and end, and so on. So this is how the TILOS report works. Another sample is the railway project in South Africa, where we had a 2 chainage. Okay, so this is the first chainage until the 714 kilometer. Okay, so you have the first year and second year. You have the information about the excavation. You have the information about the diaphragm walls and so on. So all activities we have over here. We have a lot of other different examples of the railway project. However, as I was mentioning before, we have a non-disclosure agreement, so I cannot show you them. We have a railway project in Germany. Well, everything is written in German, so sorry, but I don't speak German, but as an example, I can show you their project. Do you have any questions? Okay, we have a question from Ahmed Makram. Can a planning team work in TILOS in one project at the same time? Unfortunately, the enterprise mode is not available in TILOS. However, there is a workaround, so you can, for instance, divide your project to the planning team. Like the first team is been working on this distance on this section, and the second team will be working on the different sections, and then you can combine them in the one TILOS data. Okay, Mr. Taimur Ali asked the question, how can you improvise an EPC schedule in TILOS? The EPC schedule, well, it can be in a different way. For instance, you can create a different views. Let's say I will create the one view and will tell that this is the main project. Okay, just a second. This is the main project. Then I would like to have, for instance, the new view, and I'll say this is the part 1. Creating a different view, and I will create another view which is the part 2. Oops. So now I have here, please pay attention, on the TILOS Explorer I have different parts. So this can be integrated to the one project, or it can have a different project itself. So at the end you will have your main project where you will have all your activities. Okay. All right. We had a question regarding regarding if we are able to archive the webinar. Yes, there is a possibility to archive the webinar. You'll be able to find it on our Dropbox, or we'll be able to send you the recording of the link. So please send us the email and we will reply you back. Okay, Mr. Jural Makwana asked the question whether it offers a two-way interoperability with the other PM softwares. Yes, you can import and export from the TILOS or other CPM tools, the vice versa, so it can be imported or exported. As you can see, we have the options such as import and export, whether you would like to import from the Primavera or Excel or the MS project or Asta Power project, and it works the same way. So you can work in both sides. For instance, in export the same, the Primavera or MS project or Excel too. Any other questions? All right, so thank you very much. Okay, we have a question from Mr. Arshad, sorry for this, whether there is a possibility to, if we can analyze the actuals of other deliverables which are not measured in the term of linear meters or location. Yes, of course you can analyze it, and there is a possibility to display them as a histograms, so you don't need to have it on the meters or location. For instance, as I was showing you as this examples, so we have the information about the resources, the cost, but this is not according to the location. Okay, if no questions, so I can finish today's webinar. If you have any questions, any questions, please let us know. Thank you very much and have a good day.